Buenos dias.
Morning.
Hola, señor.
Good morning to you.
¿Cómo está ustedes?
Good morning, Samuel. You get the gold star for being first into class.
How are you, men?
Bueno.
It's been a good week.
You just you need to check your settings, Josh.
Palabra sola en español. I can do it in Spanish.
Hey, I think we might have another ministry forming.
I'd muddle through it. I can understand more than I can speak, but
We did have a translator translating the services for a little while.
We did. Yep.
And that was kind of cool for as long as it lasted. I guess it was an experiment.
We're kind of known for that, aren't we?
We are. Oh, sorry about that.
There's Buddy.
Morning, buddy.
Good morning, good sir. Good morning.
Well, how was y'all's week?
It was a good week. Harley had her end of volleyball. She had her championship playoffs, whatever, yesterday, and they won, so that was cool.
Nice.
And Nathan and Madison came into town, so they should be here this morning. So we got to all hang out with them last night, and A&M lost, but Texas lost to a 1-win team, so it was okay.
Yeah.
I still feel all right.
You feel good at the misery of others?
Yeah.
Hey, you take I've learned in this life that you got to take your small wins.
So,
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
That's all right. Big Baylor, that's what they did.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, my son-in-law wasn't happy. I mean, it was just one of those football days, I guess. I don't know. So
I saw Johnny in Walmart last night. He was doing okay. I checked on him.
Well, you're feeling pretty bad if you have to go to Walmart over it.
Hey, Melinda and I were up there last night. We saw several people. So there's a lot of us that don't have much of a life at Walmart on Saturday night. So
they're probably, whoever's saying that, you're sharing it from, you can't share it within the group because our ALF group is private. So if you want to share the event, you need to share it from either the YouTube page or the actual page, the public page.
The Facebook page.
So I can tell because you're unnamed that you're watching it from the group. And that's actually the reason we have, anybody's wondering why we have it say Facebook user sometimes. That's because Facebook is really strict on their privacy settings from groups. And so you have to reauthorize it all the time because they don't, and that it's a good thing. Our group is private for a reason.
Yeah, understandable.
It makes sharing things a little difficult with the outside world.
Yeah,
but you can save it from the public page, right?
Yeah, you can either share it from the public page or you can go to the YouTube channel and you can share it from there or on Facebook or whatever. So,
and I guess this is a good time to explain briefly why we have the two. The Facebook page would be similar to a website. And it's for anyone who wants to surf by. They can learn about us, that sort of thing. The Facebook group is private so that people inside the church can share things perhaps a little more intimate than they would want to put on a web page. And so one, anybody can see. The other, you have to be a member of to see and to share inside that group. So it's not a snobbery. It's just a way of trying to give everyone a little bit of confidentiality, and keep things in the family. Sometimes you want to keep things in the family. So
yeah, and we have events sometimes that are just church specific, and that all needs to stay in house. What shirt are you rocking there, Jeff? I'm trying to read the logo, but it's
it's the Silk Road Catalyst.
Silk Road Catalyst.
There you go.
Brother Steve Shermer's ministry.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
I think he's home. I think he's back from the Middle East.
Yes.
Yeah, did you see? Yeah. So
I saw that they've been doing work with getting food and stuff to the refugees in Afghanistan, correct?
Yes.
Can't imagine the humanitarian crisis that is. Because if we hear of anything, that means it's like when you see a cockroach in your house. It's like there's 1,000 of them in the walls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You hear one bad thing out of there, then there's it's way worse.
Mm.
That's how I feel about if I see a little baby snake in my pool in the summer. I think there's like 1,000 in there, so I've got to check everything.
Yeah, the little one came from a bigger one, so
That's right.
where's it, right? Oh my goodness! So
I lost that one. I think I told you guys over the summer. I lost that one snake in there. It was in my basket, and I was going to get it out. Of course, I'm scared to death of snakes. I'm a scaredy cat. I got to call Melinda, but it wiggled out, and then I okay, I'll get the net. It was in the pool, and I missed it, and it went back through that skimmer, and it disappeared.
Yeah, if I had to rank them, snakes are definitely up there for me. I just don't like them. But yeah, I don't know. As far as bugs go, cockroaches are my least favorite because they're nasty and they can fly, and I hate it. I can deal with spiders. I told Sarah I'll kill anything in the house. I had to kill a little mouse the other day, which breaks my heart. But I'll do whatever. I'll kill whatever in the house. But she's got the roaches. That's on her.
Gets cold, all those things come in. So.
Oh yeah. Well, they're trying to live their best life too.
That's right. And here we are trying to keep them down, hold them down.
I'm telling you, it's tough out there. So.
It's tough.
Well,
it's tough in this world.
If they pay taxes, I feel different.
That's right. We probably know a number of small businesses around town. If you have rodent and pest issues for the winter, you can give us a call. We'll, tell you about a couple. They won't even pay us a fee.
No, they don't. No kickbacks.
No kickbacks. That's right.
Oh man.
So do you have things like that in your houses where you go, not necessarily just killing stuff, but like this is kind of your wife's thing. This is your thing, either because you like it more or she likes it more, whatever it is. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I don't mind doing the dishes and loading the dishwasher, but Sarah has a very particular way that she likes to be loaded. And so she usually does it because I try and, I usually not up to snuff. So that's fine. She's good at it. She fits way more in there than I could ever do. So that's kind of her thing.
It's like Tetris.
She's great at it.
It's either putting the groceries away or the dishwasher. There's one of the things for me about dishwasher loading is knife tips always go down.
Yeah. She does the opposite.
Yeah.
She goes up?
Well, on the butter knives.
Yeah, but steak knives go down.
Well, yeah. Well, she hand washes the steak knives, Jeff. They don't go in the dishwasher. What's wrong
with
you?
Knives
high tone, let me tell you. I'm sorry.
And it's not just like it's not just the general like, oh, I do the manly stuff or anything. Because she, like, for instance, she loves the leaf blower. She was out there, like, if I say, hey, we got her one, she puts on her headphones and she'd spend an hour and a half, just like you like the pressure washing, Jimmy. So there's just some things that she loves to do or prefers, and some things that I really don't mind. Like, I really enjoyed vacuuming. It's fun to me. Maybe that's where
I typically do the dishes.
Yeah.
I typically, I cook more than she does now. I heard a yes from way in
I got
here.
a witness.
You're making up for 30 years or whatever.
That's right.
All those years I'm making up now. So which I enjoy it, so it's fine. So
I like cooking too. I cook a lot at our house. We had kind of our specialties, but I do like to cook.
I do not cook enough, and the rule at our house is the one who cooks doesn't clean the kitchen. But I'm so anal. I clean as I go, so the only thing left by the time I get done cooking is what you're eating off of. So
throughout the week, I usually like to bring stuff into Jimmy's office and leave it there, and I pretend it's on accident, but it's on purpose. Coffee cups, papers, books, whatever. I just wait to see how long before he gets it all together and brings it back to my house.
Yours? There you go.
Well, that was a threat, though. That was what that was. That was a warning.
That's right. So
gonna shank him in the office.
in his good hip.
That's right. So I had a follow up with my orthopedic on Friday, and it was a hi, how you doing? And I asked him. I said, can I jog again? Because every now and then I find myself with this desire to move faster than a walk. And he said, well, you can. He says, that's just added wear and tear. He said, it may only last 15 years instead of 30. And I started thinking, well, I don't know about that. So
Mhm.
he pointed me towards ellipticals and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So
So I'm on
So-
I graduated up to the Stairmaster at my cardio rehab.
Ooh.
That is of the devil. Let me just tell you that. I thought the bike was bad, but the Stairmaster is horrible.
yes,
Yeah,
and it
Yeah.
doesn't stop.
it does not stop.
That's
No.
right. The bike, you run the bike, but the stairs run you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I could only. I don't want. I wouldn't want to do the stairmaster. I don't like stairs. Like they're annoying in regular life.
Yeah. Yeah. Where's the elevator?
Yeah, I want to do that. Well, my only problem with stairs is that there's no uniformity. Like there's some that are super shallow, super narrow, super wide, super broad, and so each one is like its own challenge. Now I've got kids, so now I'm holding CJ and I can't look down, and it's just it's a pain. I usually try to just run up them. I get tired of it. Sarah's got bad knees, so like we're like at the Rangers ballpark, whatever. I'll just run up them and wait on
Show off.
Sarah. Well, I just hate walking them. I'd rather get it over with, man.
Just get it over with.
that's right. That's right. So
Oh,
well, I'm excited. I'm teaching the in-person class, and I've been able to restock our supply of Smarties. The only thing is my little burlap bag that I've had forever is MIA. I don't know where it is. And because it's usually right there on the front row where I leave it, but
you might want to check, in your granddaughter's bag or something.
CJ.
well,
Yeah.
maybe. But so I don't know,
Well-
maybe time to upgrade. So
What's like that missing AirPod, right? You never were able to find.
oh yeah, I've still got the other one. So
You could probably just sell
And,
that one. Sell that one to somebody who's missing the other.
well, I thought if you could pair them, but I tried wearing that one with this new set and I couldn't get it to pair. So I don't know if you can do that.
Mm.
So, but
I need to graduate
Yeah.
up to those fancy things. at one point.
they're a little overrated, truthfully.
Okay.
They're, because you're always thinking about losing them. Where if the little, the old school kind, you're not going to lose those. They have to be.
Yeah, I keep the other ones at the house really, unless I'm going to go somewhere because I was taking them back and forth for this, but I don't need them here because it's not like I'm jumping up and down while I'm talking on here. But I do
Right.
like them at home because really how I use them the most is when somebody calls. I don't talk on the phone a lot, but when I talk on the phone to like David Walton or Caleb, somebody's going to call to me. We usually are on the phone for like an hour.
Right.
And I can't sit still on the phone. I go nuts. So I got to be moving around. I try to actually get out there and like do chores when I'm doing it. So man, those are great because you don't have to worry about the cord.
And you don't want that old hot phone up on your ear for an hour. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's
But,
all oily.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this
It can't be
morning
good for you.
I
No.
took it upon myself to retighten up the little teacher stand from in the worship center because you two guys have monkeyed it to where it almost fell apart.
Yeah. I'm going to say
leaning
you were
on it.
using it as a crutch to get up on the stage, maybe.
Well, but I don't use it on the stage, so that really
okay.
wouldn't hold much water.
No,
but,
I guess not.
You
I
could,
do like it, but it's not the greatest thing that our country's ever built.
well,
Did our country build it?
Probably.
Well, it's made to hold things, not people.
That is
so.
true. I do tend to lean. I need one of those. We need to get one of those big old ones. That big old glass one that Criswell had. That's what we need.
Those
We used to have one of
old
those.
wooden ones. Yeah.
We used to have one of those around here. I don't know
Yeah,
what happened to it.
Jimmy burnt it probably.
No,
I might
it
know
went to
where it
someone.
is.
It went to someone, I think.
So let's just say it's been ministering faithful for years.
There we go. There we go.
Well, it's my turn to dip out, so I'll see you
All
guys soon.
See you, Jimmy.
All right.
Bye bye.
All right. So I'm going to do, and you can come back on. You can stay or come back on, whatever you're going to do. But, November would not be complete without a lesson on being thankful.
There
Here
you
we
go.
are in Thanksgiving. So I got five little benefits of being thankful, and then 5 things that we should make sure and talk about. So you can dip out, and then
Yeah.
a few minutes come back on, and we'll
Sounds
go
good.
from there. All right. All right, good morning, everyone. So, like I said, we're in November, and November and Thanksgiving would not be complete without a quick little reminder and lesson on us being thankful. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Now, I understand and I know that thankfulness comes easy when kind of everything's going okay or going our way, and but as we go through suffering or trials or some type of tribulation or something that's weighing on our hearts and minds, sometimes it's not that easy to have a grateful spirit, and sometimes those circumstances kind of extinguish that grateful spirit that we need to have within us as believers. Instead of rejoicing and praising God for who He is and maybe what He's done for us, or maybe what it's not, which we talk a lot about around here at ALF, being thankful for what the news is not. So instead of doing those things, sometimes we focus on our pain, sometimes we focus on our circumstances, or the confusion of the moment, and perhaps we may begin to doubt God and doubt His word. But when we choose to be thankful, and in every situation, and again, it's not that easy. It's easier said than done. But despite our feelings, there are many benefits that we can reap from that sort of position, emotional position. So let's look at these 5 benefits real quick. One of them is one, being thankful keeps us continually aware that we are walking in His presence, which will contribute to a godly life. As believers, we need to remember and understand that we never walk alone. We have the Holy Spirit that lives within us. We are able to walk through the valley and walk on the mountaintop with the Spirit of God. And the Spirit does not leave us depending upon what the circumstance is. So thankfulness reminds us of the presence of God, the always present presence of God in our life, and it should motivate us to respond in a certain manner. I've said before that discouragement comes when we allow circumstances to control us. So no matter what the circumstances, they may not be great. I understand that, but having a spirit of thankfulness, or kind of recognizing the fact that whatever situation that we're in, that we are not walking in that situation alone, that God is walking with us and working through that situation with us and for us. And sometimes sometimes we need to look at things from God's perspective. And again, I know that's easier said than done. As we go through this, maybe we can talk about some of that. But no matter what happens in any given moment of our life, we should be thankful. We can always be thankful for something. We may not listen. The Phillips family has had a tough 2021. So, I'm not thankful for the loss of a brother and a brother-in-law, and 2 aunts, and heart attack, cancer, and all these type of things, right? But through those moments, I can always be thankful for God, for memories, for moments with those individuals, for what it's not, whatever the case is. So no matter what happens in any given moment in our life, we should be able to thank God, knowing that an all-loving, all-caring, all-knowing Lord of Lords, King of Kings is walking with us through whatever that situation is. It may be a difficult walk, but knowing there's no better person to take that walk with than our Lord and Savior, Jesus. So let's look at number 2. Thankfulness motivates us to look for the Lord's purpose in everything that happens. Again, unexpected trials, suffering may tend to lead us down a path of questioning God. Why this, or why did this happen? Why did that happen? Sometimes we may or may not know. We can speculate, the why sometimes, but what we need to understand is that in those situations, God has not forgotten who we are. That situation has not taken God unaware. And sometimes this verse, Romans 8:28, is used in a little different manner, but it says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose. I'm not saying that all things are good. Sometimes there's just things that, quite honestly, I'll just say stink. Those are not things that we want to walk to. But whether we understand what he is doing or not in that situation, what is the why behind it, we can rely on his faithfulness. We should always remember and be thankful that God is faithful. I said this when I had my heart attack, is that regardless of me being here or not, God is still good. God is still faithful. And we need to thank God for the faithfulness that we have in him, for the good that he's promised to produce in our lives, according to his will, through whatever that situation is. So thankfulness motivates us to look for the Lord's purpose in everything that happens. And quite honestly, church, we're not going to understand, all the time, the why behind it, but we can certainly be thankful for his faithfulness. Being thankful brings us into number 3. Being thankful brings us into submission to God's will when we're suffering pain and heartache. So this one, in the midst of our, emotional despair, our physical pain, whatever it may be, we may not feel that grateful to God. I understand that. But that's when we should start to express it. And it may just be forced at first, but what I would encourage you to do is, when you're in the midst of whatever trial that you're in, whatever physical pain or emotional, distress that you're in, I would encourage you to express verbally thankful spirit, because when we lean into the Lord, what happens a lot of times when we go through issues in our lives, what do? We tend to back away from the church. We should not do that. We need to lean into God. We need to lean into God's people. We need to lean in to those who can, surround us with love and support and pray for us, whatever the things are, whatever the situation needs. And again, eventually our feelings will begin to match our words. And I'm not saying, fake it till you make it. I'm not trying to be, like that we can fake God through words that we don't believe. But at times, I think it's therapeutic for us to thank God. Even if we have to thank God, I thank you for what this is not. I thank you that, today in this moment, for this second, I thank you. Even if that's where we need to start, that's fine. Because God knows, the weaknesses of our human emotions, of our, our makeup, and understands that, that our thankful spirit might just be words in the beginning, but hopefully over time, he will honor our obedience in our thankful spirit and choosing to express gratitude instead of grief. So be thankful. Being thankful brings us into submission to God's will. And again, a lot of times we don't understand. A lot of times I'm not exactly enthused about some of the things that happens in this world, but having a thankful spirit will hopefully bring us more in tune with the Lord's will. All right, let's being thankful. Number 4, being thankful reminds us of our continual dependence upon the Lord. I don't think God's going to bless a spirit of independence that denies our need of him and kind of lifts up our self-reliance and saying, listen, I can take care of this on my own. I don't need anybody else. I don't need family. I don't need church. I don't need God. It just, that just leads to this spirit of ingratitude. But being thankful reminds us that we are dependent upon the Lord, that we need God in whatever situation that we're in. So in reality, again, we are all dependent upon him for literally every breath we take. As we take our next breath, that is a gift from the Lord. But, a lot of times we take those things for granted, right? We may not realize that we need God until we're in a situation that we are powerless to overcome or to change on our own. So being thankful, building a habit of thankfulness will remind us that no matter what situation we're in, whether we're in the valley or on the top of the mountain, that we have a dependence upon on the Lord. And sometimes we let our own intellect, our own wit, our own financial stability, our own place that we are in life, kind of makes us think that we don't need God sometimes. So the adversary will certainly show us our weaknesses, and certainly our adversity will as well. It'll show our weaknesses, and that we are dependent upon the Lord, and cultivating the spirit of thankfulness will help us to become more mature believers, and understanding that we have an absolute dependence upon God every day, and we should rejoice in the fact that He cares for us, and that He is always with us, and having that grateful and trusting and thankful spirit that we should have. And you know what? You may have to just practice that in the times of prosperity, quite honestly. When things are kind of going well, make sure you thank God for that, and let's just sort of build that muscle up then, so it'll be there for us in the time of need. Number 5, thankfulness helps us trust the Lord when we don't understand why. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier. Sometimes we're just not going to understand the why behind things. Although God hasn't promised to explain, the why, or why we suffer pain, or why there's death, or why there's sickness or hardship, and why some people seem to prosper and some don't, He has promised to be with us and help us to walk through those particular situations. Giving thanks reminds us that we don't have to understand the situation fully in order to be thankful. We just have to be obedient in the process that God is wanting us to walk through, whatever that process is, and kind of taking it, one step at a time. Listen, I am not thankful, or I'm not pleased that my wife has been diagnosed with breast cancer, but I am thankful that, the Lord is going to guide us through whatever process He wants us to go through. And we are thankful for what it was not. We probably got a really, probably the best diagnosis that we could get. Surgery and radiation is probably what's going to take care of it. We'll see. But so I'm thankful for what it is not. All right. So here's the question, for us, and then I'll give us a reminder of maybe 4 or 5 things that we need to be thankful for. So when adversity comes our way, when suffering comes in our life, do we tend to judge God by that particular circumstance, or do we judge the circumstance by what Scripture says about God? Let me ask that again. So when adversity or suffering comes in our life, are we judging God based upon the circumstance that He has us in? If we're walking in a valley, do we think He's faithful or not? If we're on the mountaintop, do we think we need Him or not? Or are we judging the circumstance that we're in by the faithfulness of an Almighty God, and His faithfulness and His goodness and His grace and His mercy? Doesn't mean that you'll have $1 million in your bank account tomorrow. Doesn't mean that a cancer diagnosis will go away by lunch. It doesn't mean that a relationship will be mended between husband and wife, or a father and a son, or a mother and a daughter, whatever the case is. But what cultivating this spirit of thankfulness should allow us to judge that circumstance by what Scripture says about the faithfulness of God. All right, so 5 quick things of maybe some areas that we should thank God for. The first one I'll say, Josh, you can come back on this one if you want, and you can chime in if you'd like. One is we should thank God for the material blessings that He gives us. We live in a culture where we never seem to be satisfied. Whether we're rich, we're poor, we're healthy, we're sick. But what a difference it makes when we realize that everything comes from God. Everything that we have, whether it's bank account that has a couple dollars over what's going to pay the bills, or you've got excess, or you're extremely healthy and can run that marathon tomorrow, or you're struggling with sickness. But we never seem to be satisfied with the things we have. So the first thing we can do is thank God for the things that he provides us, the job, the car that gets you to work, the roof over your head, hot dogs in the refrigerator, whatever it is. Right. So I'll stop there. Do you have any comments on the first part or
Yeah, I think, on the kind of the first five you shared about what being thankful does is, one of the things that comes to mind is just that basically there's always something to be thankful for. It's like it's your attitude that you bring to your life. There's always something to be thankful for, and there's always something to complain about. And so what it is like, being thankful, even if we don't have a lot of things, or even if we're going through a difficult time or some adversity, there's still reasons to be thankful, and it actually benefits us. Like, our lives will be better if we live a life where we are continually looking for things to be thankful for, rather than kind of thinking about what we don't have or what we're going through. There was a study, I can't remember what it was, but I read it, I think, in the Malcolm Gladwell book, where if you write down, and one of the ways you can do this is you can actually write down all the things in your life that are just, bad, the things you're struggling with. And if you do that, psychologically, a lot of times people look at that when it's written down and be like, well, really, that's not that much, and this isn't, and I'm not saying this to like minimize anything that anybody's going through, but in reality, like, if you think about, we usually have one or two things that are kind of nagging at us constantly, something we're worried about or something that's whatever. But a lot of us aren't worrying about, like what you said, the roof over our heads, or the clothes we're going to wear, the food we're going to eat. And I don't know, that's just, a lot of that is a reminder to me that no matter, there's always, how do you want to go through life with the perspective of being thankful, and your life will be much better, and you will be a more faithful Christian, and you will be a better example to others. Or you can go through life always thinking about what you don't have and not being satisfied or what you're going through. So that's what I kind of took away from it.
Yeah, and someone that's been in several different parts, of the world, sometimes we might think, well, gosh, I really wanted the office with the view, and not the center office with 4 walls, and that's what we get been out of shape about. But you go to Africa and they're worried about what they're going to actually put in their pot the next day. Yeah. So they are worried about a roof over their head.
Yeah, and you said a lot. I think the last time you were in Africa, that a lot of people that you came in contact with were joyful.
Oh, they encourage me.
So it doesn't. That is a real life. This is not a marketing ploy. We're not selling you anything. This is Jeff's real life experience. That your circumstances are not what brings you joy. Like, no. It's all about your attitude towards whatever you have. Paul says, hey, I've been hungry, I've been well fed, I've been warm and taken care of. I've spent a day in the night in the ocean. He's found a way to be content in every circumstance. So do you want to live a life of thankfulness? You can always find something to be thankful about.
And I'm when I say this, I hope it doesn't come over wrong, but if someone buys me lunch today, I am grateful for that. Thank you so much for doing that. But typically it might be done out of someone's abundance, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. When I'm in Africa and someone provides me a meal, that's probably the last bit of rice that they had.
Right.
So it means so much more. And then when that person, they take joy in doing that. Not that someone doesn't take joy in, if I was to buy you lunch, I would take joy in that. We'd have great fellowship, right? But it's probably not going to affect my light bill.
Right.
Right. So anyway, they're a joyful people.
That's a great point, because that happens with the widow's, mite, the penny that she has, and Jesus says, oh, she gave more than the Pharisees because they're the same point. They gave out of their abundance, and she gave all she had. And if you think about that in terms of, I've thought about that in terms of, okay, if we're going to do that with each other, what do we not have a lot of? Because we do have a lot of material blessings, and we should be thankful for that. But you know what we don't have a lot of sometimes is time. And so, often if you're going to give somebody a gift, like the benefit sometimes of having lunch with somebody, if they're going to pay for your meal, which you've probably paid for 1,000 of my meals, which I'm very grateful for, but is the time like that you spend, because in America we might have a lot of money, but we don't have a lot of time. And so what do you have? Think about what you can give out of your need or want, or instead of your abundance. And so sometimes it's easy to write the check for whatever the charity is, which is, again, that's a good thing. But if you have a lot of money, not a lot of time, the time is what you should be giving to God. Like, we should be giving to God out of what we lack more, or just as much than what we do out of our abundance. Because it's more, it will change us, and it does illustrate our dependence on God. If you think about I'm not trying to hijack your lesson here, but if you think about the widow and her mite, she gave out of her need to God, which demonstrated her faith in Him. And if you need to give out of your need, so if whatever you don't have a lot of, and it's, for some of us it is money, but if it's time, if it's maybe it's something you're not really comfortable in, you're stepping out kind of on the water like Peter, so to speak, getting out of your comfort zone, whatever it is, whatever you give out of your need to God shows your dependence on Him more than giving out of your abundance. I remember being a teenager, I had all the time in the world. I was at church constantly because I wanted to be around my friends, and I had all the time in the world. Now, obviously, I work at church, but let's say I was doing a different job. A lot of people, they work a lot. Well, going to church or volunteering at For the City or whatever it is, they might be giving out of their need, out of their lack, in a different way than they were. It meant if I gave $20 to, in tithe or to a missionary or something when I was a teenager, that's a lot more impactful than if I gave $100 today. In the kingdom economics.
Absolutely. So thank God for our material blessings that He gives us. Second, we need to thank God for the people that's in our lives. It's so easy for us to take people for granted, our families, our friends, our church, whatever the case is. So we need to make sure and give thanks to those around us, our, like I said, our spouse, our children, whoever. And I am so thankful for the people that God has placed in my life. I probably don't say it enough, but I certainly need to thank God for those people, and I need to actually thank those individuals for being a part of my life as well. So, thirdly, thank God in the midst of trials and even persecution. And that kind of sounds weird, but we draw back, from difficulties at times. But no one individual is exempt from some type of heartache or trouble. We live in a fallen world. It touches all of us. And some parts of the world, it's more dangerous to be, Christian than it is in the U.S. A lot of times with my Christian friends around the world, their faces kind of blurred out on Facebook, so they don't know who they are. So, they are living in dangerous times, can be persecuted, but in the midst of those trials and that persecution, those folks are faithful, and I know they thank God. I know personally that they thank God for the opportunity to share the gospel, to preach, to help other people out, whatever the case is, even in the midst of their suffering. So sometimes in the midst of suffering, it does draw us closer, to God. So be thankful for that. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, but you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance in James 1. So thank God for those times, especially when they draw you closer to Him, closer to others in your life, give you a different perspective, whatever the case is. Number 4, thank God especially for your salvation. When's the last time that you thank God for just simply saving you? God has given us the greatest gift of all, right? So we should be thankful for that. A lot of times we kind of forget about that, especially when you've been walking with Him for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we forget to do that. And then lastly, and we'll just kind of wrap up, but thank God for His continued presence and power in your life. So as Christians, we walk through this life. We all have to walk through life, right? And as long as we're breathing, and we go through different circumstances and different situations. Our pastor says this. I've heard all three of us say this, but there's no safer place in the center of God's will. Thank God for where He has you, positioned in Him at this period of time. If we're distant from Him, thank Him for leading you back. If you're right in the center of His will, thank you for His, protection and grace and mercy and, all those type of things. So there's things that we can always be thankful for. And when you can't find anything to be thankful for, just thank God that He's there for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so any closing thoughts? But
well, I think that the lie that our culture, and it's not just our culture, I think it's kind of just how we're geared as humans, is that our joy and our thankfulness, our ability to be thankful in things, are circumstantially dependent. They're dependent on our circumstances, and that just feels right. That's how kids are. That's like, you give them, CJ's that way now. If he wants a cookie, which he knows the word for cookie, he knows the sign for more. He doesn't want to eat his dinner, he wants a cookie. If I give him a cookie, he's happy. If I don't, he's throwing a fit. Well, that's how we see life, kind of human nature. That's a human nature. But the Bible teaches us, and God teaches us through His Word that is not the truth. Like that is not that is not true. And all you have to do is look at the world and see where it is and where it's been and the path that it's on to know that that's not how it works. I mean, there are so many people whose circumstances we would look at and envy, and we go, "Oh my goodness! Look at their house, look at their car, look at the money they have, look at what they look like, look at their spouse, look at how great their kids are, whatever it is," and they're miserable.
Yep.
And there's so many people that we look at and we would go, "Man, I'm glad that I'm glad I don't have to deal with that." And they're living better lives, not just happier, more content, more joyful. And so I think it's a great reminder, and I hope that it's something that I struggle with, because we always get pulled to that other place. Like it's the world is continually yanking on us to get there. And so it's a great reminder for me that your thankfulness, your joy, that's not circumstantially dependent. It's dependent on God, His will, what He's done for you, what He's going to do for you, the truth that He gives us. So that's my thought.
And no matter what the situation that we're walking through right now is, find something to be thankful for, because it's there. Sometimes we have to look, but it's there. So, and hopefully we just don't, this is a nice time to be reminded.
Yeah.
Here during Thanksgiving, but hopefully this is something that we can, cultivate and, build a habit of thankfulness throughout the year. So
sounds good.
All right. Well, I am going to head up.
Sounds good.
You want to close this out?
Yeah, I'll close this out.
All
We'll
right.
see you here in a minute.
Take care, everyone.
All right. All right. Well, everybody, you've got about 15, 20 minutes to get up to church as Jimmy continues his series on John the Baptist, A Faith to Lose Your Head Over. If you're going to join us online, then please switch over to that broadcast here in about 15 minutes, and we hope to see you here. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's remember to be thankful no matter our circumstances. Love you guys.